Hey, how's it going, guys? Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of The Real Deal. So this week we're talking about deferred maintenance, and I'm going to talk about ACs in general, and my experience recently with ACs, but also a couple other ones, especially with monsoon season coming up. So obviously it's everywhere. ACs are going down. I keep seeing it on my timeline. People are asking if there's any recommendations for AC, a repair specialist, and I trust me, I know it. I've been there. I know exactly what that's like, and it sucks. When it happened to us, we were very fortunate to we have a split AC, so we have an AC downstairs and upstairs. Luckily, the downstairs one is the one that went out, so we were still able to sleep and stuff. But like we weren't able to be in our living room or our kitchen because it was like hot. And obviously, we're like in the worst part of it right now. I know that I think yesterday it was reported that it's the hottest day that it's been all year. So definitely something that you guys should consider and look into as far as deferred maintenance. That is exactly why air conditioning units go out is deferred maintenance. Think about an AC unit just like a car. AC units are, they have components. There's items that you can replace, items that you can maintain. And trust me, like I know it's a pain in the butt. Excuse me, I spit. It's a pain in the butt to schedule it. It's a pain in the butt to get somebody to your house and check it out. But it's totally worth it. I can relate this to even cars. Like I just had an experience recently with my car where there was like a bunch of stuff that I knew it needed, like a rear hub. I needed brakes. I know that I needed uh, some catalytic converter thing, and I went in there because my AC wasn't working. I walked out of there with a huge bill, and usually you're like, yeah, whatever. No, I'm not gonna pay for this stuff. That's you trying to add up. But no, like honestly, I looked at the items that the mechanic gave me, and every single item that was on that list, I was like, man, these are all things that I've been avoiding that I know I need. So same thing with home AC units or home in general. If you don't get these tune-ups done or check that, then you guys are going to run into issues, especially in when you least expect it, or you got that company that's coming in from out of town, you got that party that you've been planning. That's absolutely the worst time for it to happen. So my AC downstairs is running a little warm, and then I don't know. I have pretty big windows in my downstairs living room that I purposely don't have curtains on them because I think it looks more elegant because it's open. I'm starting to second guess that because it is getting real warm, but still, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call the AC guy and I'm gonna ask him, hey, what can I do? Can you come out, give me, take a look? So he gave me this really great recommendation that I'm gonna give to you guys. And he said, look, before I even go out there and charge you, because this is a great guy, I give him a ton of business, so he's very trustworthy. I'm going to give you guys that piece of advice. He says, before I go out there and charge you $100 for a tune up, he's like, one of the number one reasons why ACs start warming up. Now, mine is still cold. That's a big difference between cold and warming up. Because obviously, if there's no cold air coming out of your AC, then there's something wrong with it. But it's just not as cold as it takes like 2-3 hours for it to cool down. So then he says, before I go out there and do this tune up, he's like, there's the condenser, the unit that's on the ground. Now, if you have an older unit that's on the roof, then you got to go to the roof. But for the most part, any of the newer homes, anything built after the 90s, they have the condenser unit on the ground, and then you have the air handler somewhere in your attic. He says, before I go out there and do this tune up, he's like, just clean that out. He's like, go to Home Depot, just so you guys know what a condenser unit looks like too. Um, that's what a condenser unit looks like. Let me hide my logo here. That's the condenser, right? So those little ribs that you see right there, those little lines, those are just like the like your car radiator. It needs those to function properly and cool itself properly in order to cool your house properly. So he says, look, go out there, buy like this, like $5 or $6. You can get it on Home Depot, Lowe's, any of these places. It's called condenser cleaner. Check it out, look it up, Google it. He's like, go out there, he's like, and spray it and then rinse it off. He's like, before I go out there and, if you notice a difference, he's like, that's all it was. It was just dirty. I was like, wow. I was like, that's a great idea. I'm going to put that on a video because I'm sure that a lot of people don't do that. They go and they get the tune up, they spend the money or whatnot. So just a quick tidbit on that. Like, do that before you call AC guy. If your AC is cool, but not as cold as usual. But of course, if you're having more AC issues, if you're having issues where it's not cooling at all, that's obviously a big deal. contact your AC people. But the idea is, of course, before the issues happen, to try to address them. Same with my car. Like, I let that stuff pile up, and then boom, I had this huge bill. This time I'm being proactive because I went through that situation with my AC last year that it just went out unexpectedly. Now I'm being proactive. I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Something's off. Let me get this looked at before it gets bad. So I'm definitely very proud of myself, patting myself on the back on that part. One other big one too that's kind of overlooked, and I'm bringing this one up because of monsoon season that's coming up, is dogs like to dig. And I had a situation where a past client of mine, their dog loved to dig. The dog kept digging and digging. So what happens is when these floods start coming in, the water just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And eventually what ended up happening is the water ended up seeping through the concrete into the carpet. So they had to replace their entire living room carpet. So something to consider if you guys see these dog holes next to your house that they're digging up. I know it's a pain, especially because it's hot, but like you guys should start covering those up. Start getting the land or the dirt to drain away from your house. You don't want to have any negative draining going toward your house because issues do come up. And trust me, that's something that a lot of people overlook because you think, hey, it's concrete. How's water going to get in there? It did. And it was because of that reason. So definitely something to consider, especially with this upcoming monsoon season. It's going to be rainy. We've been holding out. We technically are in monsoon season, but we haven't got a drop of rain yet. So just something to consider. And a recent one that I had, just a quick tidbit, something that came up on one of my clients' inspection was frozen angle stops. Frozen angle stops look like this. Well, this one isn't frozen, but this is what an angle stop looks like. Actually, that one is frozen. So those aren't like a huge deal, but they can be, especially if it's on your main valve too. So there's a main on your house. That main valve, if it's frozen and you can't shut it off or close it, or any plumbing in your house, that's pretty important, because if you have a pipe leak or something's going on, you're not going to be able to turn it off. Like, you're going to be turning and turning and turning, and that valve's not going to turn off. So that one, once again, easily overlooked. I guarantee every one of you guys has at least one frozen angle stop in your house, or one that's potentially going to get frozen, because you start seeing the calcium build up. It's like greenish color, unless you have like water softener systems that takes care of the hard water. But definitely something to consider too, especially if you guys are going out of town. I know a lot of stuff happens when you go out of town, water leaks and that kind of stuff. So you want to have access to be able to shut off those valves. But the big one for sure, of course, is AC. I know it sucks. It's like $100 to get somebody out there and check it out and do the tune-up, but it's worth it. And then, of course, the tidbit, the tip that I gave you guys, if your AC is cold, just not as cold, try cleaning it out. Buy one of those AC condenser cleaners and see if that helps. And if it does, then you should be good. If not, still get your AC guy out there. All right. You guys, thank you for joining me on this week's episode. Have a great rest of your day.